Welcome to Crayola Creativity Week. Today's theme is Building Together. Our special guests are Drew and Jonathan Scott and Kim Smith.
Hello! So excited to be here.
Hi! Welcome, Drew and Jonathan. Please tell us something about yourselves.
Hi, I'm Drew Scott, builder and author. And I am Jonathan, the big brother, who is 4 minutes older than my twin. And wiser, and better looking. We collaborate on everything, our TV shows, our books, all sorts of creative projects. Our shared interest in being building entrepreneurs started when we were really young. We lived on a horse farm, and our dad paid us for building fences and repairing the barns. And we started our first business at 7 years old, making decorative clothing hangers. We learned the importance of humor in our next shared venture. We were 8-year-old kid clowns performing in parades. Still a couple of clowns. Eventually, we brought all of our interests together, pitching fun real estate renovation projects as TV series. Then we branched out into a whole bunch of other creative experiences.
Kim, please introduce yourself and share how you became an illustrator.
Hi, I'm Kim Smith, and I'm the author and illustrator of 2 picture books, but I've illustrated over 40 books. I never planned to do this job. I went to school to learn how to design characters for animation and video games. But after my first picture book, I fell in love with it, and I decided to start illustrating books for kids full time. My favorite part of the job is getting to travel around to schools and share my books with students. We always have so much fun reading and drawing.
Jonathan and Drew, please collaboratively read the book Builder Brothers Big Plans Aloud.
Oh, well, I just happen to have our book right here. Well, that's magic.
What a coincidence.
Shall we read? One sweet summer afternoon, Drew and Jonathan were doing what they did best, dreaming big. Let's build a treehouse, said Drew. No, a castle, said Jonathan, with a firefighter's pole and a catapult. The twins were always making big plans, but for some reason, grown-ups only ever laughed. That sounds like quite a creative castle you boys are gonna build, Uncle Joe chuckled. Said Aunt Kathy. Sounds like your imagination might be a little too wild. The twins shuffled off to their official planning table, aka the dining table. They never think we can actually build these things, said Jonathan. Just because we're little, said Drew. But little people can do big things. The brothers traded a grin. We'll show them. But how? They rummaged and rooted through their plans. They paced and pondered. They buckled down and brainstormed. This project had to be absolutely perfect, but absolutely nothing they came up with felt quite right. Feels like the perfect idea is right in front of our noses, said Jonathan. Yep, said Drew. And that's when they noticed Gracie and Stewie. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Asked Drew. Even before you think it, said Jonathan. Let's build a double-decker doghouse, cried the brothers. In a flash, the boys grabbed paper and pencils and started working. They sketched and scribbled, doodled and designed, colored and created. And when they were done, they stepped back to look at the results and said together, "This will be the most awesomest double-decker doghouse ever!" They pooled all their savings and they plunked down their plans, their shopping list, and all their money on the counter. "We want to build the most awesomest double-decker doghouse ever," said Drew. The store worker pored over their plans. She read their list up and down. "You boys sure this is all you want?" she asked. "It seems kind of small." "Sure we're sure," said Drew. "Nobody thinks we can," said Jonathan. But little people can do big things. Their brothers were so excited that they raced each other all the way home. Drew and Jonathan hurried into their garage. For the next few hours, all you could hear was voompa, 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 bam, 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 scritcha, scritcha, scritcha. At last, the brothers stepped back to admire their work. The double-decker doghouse was awesome, all right, but it was also way too small. "Oops," said Drew. "Uh-oh," said Jonathan. "I think we must have measured wrong." "What now?" said Drew. The brothers flopped down on the floor. Were the grown-ups right after all? Their money was gone, their work was done, and the twins had nothing to show for it. How could Drew and Jonathan turn their teeny tiny doghouse into something worthy of all that work? The brothers look up, then their eyes met. "Are you thinking what I'm thinking?" asked Jonathan. "Even before you think it," said Drew. And with a bit more tinkering, toying, and tuning up, the brothers turned their tiny doghouse into a super duper deluxe birdhouse. That night as they crawled into their beds, Jonathan said, "I bet those birds are dreaming their own big dreams in their new house right now." Drew asked, "But where will Gracie and Stewie sleep?" At first, Jonathan wondered, but then he realized the dogs didn't need a house. They were already right where they belonged. As they slipped off to sleep, the brothers smiled because they knew what every builder knows. Every big plan starts with a dream. And you can build your own dream too. For a tiny dog or a bird. And this is pretty cute. So cute.
Drew, why is it important to design inspiring spaces where people dream and create?
Well, as builders and home renovators, our goal is to create spaces that inspire creative self-expression. When we were kids, our parents actually provided special space for us so that we could create. And our dad actually called it our dream factory because that's where all of our dreams came to life. It's actually how we came up with the name for our kids show.
Let's see how your dream factory inspired creativity.
Amazing! Let's gear up and get it done!
Inspiration's all we need. Let's gear up and get it done. Build brothers. Let's gear up and get it done. Build brothers. Let's gear up and get it done.
That phrase, "let's gear up and get it done," that guided our creativity as kids, and it still does today when we're building and renovating houses. And we try to step outside the standard design norms to make sure that people who are living in the houses we renovate, they're feeling inspired and uplifted. I mean, that's my advice for all the kids out there. Step outside of the norm and let your creative side shine. Ask yourself, what's inspiring and uplifting for me? And then move in that direction. Bring your dreams to life.
Jonathan, how does color inspire creativity?
Color and creativity are at the core of all of our projects. We try to look beyond the obvious and just find something unexpected, some kind of creative solution. For example, when renovating an old building that has some unique features, we'll always add a splash of color to spotlight a special treasure or something else that might otherwise be overlooked. Sometimes we'll use colors to calm and relax people, and in other projects, bold color to energize and motivate people. We always experiment with color to see how you can change the vibe and improve a space. And remember, when you innovate and experiment, it doesn't always go the way you expected, and that's okay. We learn from our mistakes, just like in our book, when we measure wrong, and then it turns out instead of a small doghouse, it's an incredible birdhouse. I would say it's not a mistake, it's a life lesson. It's a learning opportunity. So my message for kids is to experiment and try new ways of seeing situations. Try flipping things around and see if a different way is more practical. Add a splash of color and see how that affects the mood. You can overcome any challenge and improve every opportunity with creativity.
Tim, the book Builder Brothers Big Plans has a guide for making a decorative birdhouse from a recycled milk carton. There are 2 important steps, so please demonstrate both. Let's start with sketch the plan.
A sketch for a plan can be made anywhere. It doesn't have to be drawn on fancy paper or really anything special. In big plans, in this illustration here, Drew and Jonathan became inspired in their backyard and created their design in the dirt with sticks. You could also plan your designs in the sand, on a scrap piece of paper, or even a napkin. Or you could sketch a plan with traditional art supplies like I'm going to do today. So I'm gonna look at the carton and I'm gonna take a pencil crayon and I'm gonna start drawing the outline for the carton. So the reason why I'm doing just the outline is that we're going to create something called a template. And we can use this template as a base for our design. So once we have the outline drawn, we can start experimenting with all the different art supplies that we can use for decorating and creating our carton. For the template, you can draw this outline right here as many times as you want. So you can create as many designs for your birdhouse as you can imagine. So I'm going to start kind of coloring some designs. So maybe this carton here is going to be designed with some shapes. So maybe we'll do some diamond shapes on the side in crayon. Maybe we'll use some of the markers to maybe put some other colors of diamonds, creating a pattern. So in this phase, I want to test out as many different materials as I can to see how they'll make marks on the paper. Sometimes when you're using white paper, the markers will react differently than if you, say, take the orange construction paper and start drawing on that. Questions you might ask yourself while designing your carton, your birdhouse, is where the opening will go for the birds. Where will the door be? So maybe I'll create a circular design for the door. Another thing that you can consider when designing your birdhouse is how it will hang in the tree. So maybe I'll add a ribbon up here. So I've gone ahead and created some finished designs for the birdhouse. So I tested out a design with simple shapes like hearts repeating themselves, similar to the diamonds that I just drew. You can experiment with different themes as well as colors. So I've gone ahead and designed a barn birdhouse. I've also designed a castle birdhouse with some little bird pendants. I thought it might be funny to make the birdhouse look like a monster, so the door where the bird goes in, it looks like the bird is living in the mouth. And finally, this design here. So this is my favorite design, and this is the one that I'm going to be basing my birdhouse off of today. So this is a perfect time for lots of experimenting. Don't try to copy my design. Instead, create a design inspired by the things that you like. Try different colors, other themes, like maybe it's a barn, maybe it's a castle. If your first design doesn't work, try a new one. I can't wait to see all the fun plans you come up with.
Kim, for the next art demo, please show us the other step. Create the birdhouse.
So I have my finished design here to make the birdhouse. So I've gone ahead and gathered the supplies for my favorite design. I'm using an empty and clean recycled milk carton. I'm using blue and yellow construction paper. I'm using a stick I found on the ground outside and a piece of reused ribbon. So the first step in creating our birdhouse is to cover each side of the carton with construction paper. If you remember from my design, the outside of the carton is all yellow. So we're going to measure each side so we can cut it out. So I'm going to take a light orange crayon. You can use maybe a light pencil to draw this out. I might not use a marker because it might be too dark of a line when you go to cut it out. And then I'm just going to trace around one side of the box. You're going to mark the top of that outline, and then you're going to do that for each side. And once you have that done, you can cut these squares out. And I've gone ahead and already glued the sides on my birdhouse. So I have one more side to glue. So I'm going to use this Crayola glue stick. And instead of putting the glue on my last side that I have to glue on, if you want to keep it a little less messy, I'd apply the glue right to the side of the carton. Get it all over so the paper sticks evenly. So I'm going to smooth it down to make sure it sticks to the entire side of the carton. And then we're going to go on to the next step. Step 2 is to decorate all the sides of your birdhouse. When I was making my plan, I used crayon and markers to do all the decorating on the outside. So I used these bold and bright construction paper crayons to do the design on the outside. So I'm gonna go ahead and start creating my zigzags. And then I'm going to use a marker to make some of the dot patterns in my design. So this can take a while to decorate your whole carton. So I've gone ahead and completed all the design work here. So the third step is that you're going to make a hole in the birdhouse for the door. So for this, you're going to need to ask a grown-up for help to help make the hole in the carton. So I've gone and traced a 2-inch by 2-inch box about 2 inches up from the bottom of our birdhouse. So then I'm just gonna take the scissors, and then once your grown-up or parent has made the hole in the box, you can go ahead and start cutting. So on the other side, I've already gone ahead and cut out the door for a birdhouse. Steps 4 and 5 are, again, to carefully create holes in the front of the birdhouse for the perch, one there, and one on the other side to stick the stick through. And then you're going to want to make a hole in the top for the string or ribbon that you're going to hang your birdhouse from. Again, please ask a grown-up or parent for help for creating these holes. Remember, this is just for decorative purposes. It won't hold up to the weather if left outdoors. Construction paper gets soggy in the rain. So a real bird family can't move in. But I did make this little bird out of Crayola project paper so it can live in mine. I can't wait for you to make your own unique birdhouses.
Drew, Jonathan, and Kim, thank you for showing us how creativity has guided all of your work.
Bye!
Bye! Miss you already.
Teachers, librarians, and parents, be sure to check out more creative ideas at Crayola.com/creativityweek. And remember to share children's artwork. Post a photo on social media using #CrayolaCreativityWeek for a chance to win today's amazing giveaway.